A survey done in 2019 suggested that the average American will need $1.7 million saved to retire, which is incredibly overwhelming to think about. And obviously that was just one survey, and there's a lot of other variables that go into the number that will be yours for retirement. Over the last year, I've done a handful of finance related videos, and some of you seem to be interested in this. And a new year is just around the corner, thank God. And that's always a time when I usually investigate my finances and where I am and where I want to be headed. So if you're that way too, and retirement is something that you are interested in preparing for, but you maybe don't know where to get started with it, today I thought I would share some tips for getting started with saving for retirement. And before I get started, I want to say thank you to First Tech Federal Credit Union for sponsoring today's video. They have tons of resources on their website for financial planning, especially for big life stage events like retirement, so I will have a link to them down below. Start today no matter what. It is really easy to bury your head in the sand, partially because if you're on the younger side, it feels like it's so far away, like you'll figure it out later. But the problem with burying your head in the sand about it is time is the most crucial variable in your ability to meet your retirement goals. So you need to start right now, no matter what. Even if you only have $1 to contribute to this fund, you will not be able to make up for lost time, and it's something that you could literally end up paying for decades of your life later on. Allocate a consistent portion of your income to your retirement savings. It's suggested that you should be saving roughly 10 to 15% of your pre-tax income for retirement. However, if that percentage isn't feasible for you right now, that's totally okay. Just find out what percentage is. I've personally found that the best and kind of the easiest way to set savings goals and actually reach them is to dedicate a certain percentage of my income to that goal. It creates consistency, which is key for saving, and it takes the guesswork out of it. Like every time that I get paid, I just get out my calculator and I do my multiplication and I move that amount of money into that fund. Also, I talked about this in another one of my finance videos, but if you want to go down a rabbit hole of calculating what different percentages and savings amounts and all of that will add up to over time, First Tech has this page on its website with all of these different savings calculators, like what will it take to become a millionaire and how much of a difference does an interest rate make? So you can actually calculate what does saving 10% versus 15% of my income for retirement actually look like. And honestly, it's kind of addicting to play around with like how much wealthier you could be if you saved more. It kind of reminds me of when I look at homes online. I start with my modest, realistic parameters, but then I keep bumping up the sliders more and more, and before I know it, I'm looking at a $5 million estate with a tennis court and a swimming pool, and I'm like, it doesn't have a helicopter pad, and that just is not gonna work for me. The calculators have a similar effect. Like you'll keep bumping up the sliders and then you'll realize, wow, I could be so rich if I just saved this much money. Invest. Investing is one of the best ways to compound interest, and compounding interest is essential because it creates exponential growth. It's interest earning interest, where the interest that you were earning on your pot of money then gets added to the pot of money that makes it bigger, so it's earning even more interest. For example, for the sake of simplicity, let's just say that you have $100,000 in a retirement account, and that account is averaging a 10% return of interest every year. So $100,000 after 1 year is going to have earned $10,000 in interest. Now that interest is added to your pot of $100,000, and going into year 2, now you have $110,000 earning 10% interest. And that interest from year 2 would be $11,000. And when you break that down, that extra $1,000 is interest being made on the $10,000 of interest that you earned and added to your pot the year before. Now, granted, nobody starts with $100,000 in their retirement fund, but your goal is to get there someday and hopefully pass it. You're also not necessarily guaranteed a 10% return. It all depends on where you put your money and how good those choices are and where the economy is at. If the economy is tanking, you might not be making any return that year. But that being said, the average annual return for the S&P 500 index over the last 90 years has been 9.8%. And there are funds that track the S&P 500 that you can invest in. And I'm not saying that that is something that you should go invest in or that it's an investment for everybody. I am not a financial advisor. advisor, please do your research and or talk to somebody who's an actual professional. Consider opening a Roth IRA. I didn't know what a Roth IRA was for a really long time, and it's one of the things that I wish I could time travel back to when I was 18 and tell myself about. A Roth IRA is a retirement account where you pay taxes on the money going in, but you don't have to pay any taxes on the money when you withdraw it in the future. You're only eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA if your income is under a certain limit, and there are limits to what you can contribute annually. I believe this year it's $6,000. And the beauty of it is, let's say that you're 22 years old and your current income puts you in the 12% tax bracket. And let's say you're maxing out your contribution. You're putting in $6,000 a year and you're paying taxes on that based on your current 12% tax bracket. But fast forward, and now let's say you're 65 and you've done big things with your career and you're in the 32% tax bracket now. Well, when you start pulling your retirement funds out of your Roth account, you're not going to be paying any taxes on them, and you're not going to be paying tax at your current 32% bracket rate. Where a traditional IRA is the opposite. It means you're not paying taxes when you put the money in, but you have to pay taxes when you take the money out. Take advantage of an employer matching your 401k. A lot of companies will match what you contribute to your 401k up to a certain limit, which is literally free money. It's kind of like when I was 10 and my parents told me that if I saved half of what I needed for a bike, they would match the other half, which I now also realize that they were giving me the allowance that I was using to save for my half. So in reality, they were really just paying for all of it and trying to teach me how to save in the process. But at the time, I actually didn't realize that. If you have an employer who will match your contributions, get on that. If you make $50,000 a year and you contribute 3% of your salary to your 401k, that's $1,500. And if you have a company that will match up to 3% of your salary, they're also gonna chip in $1,500. And that's a free $1,500. And then last but definitely not least, talk to a financial advisor. Honestly, if this overwhelms you, setting up a meeting and spending 1 hour with an expert could change the entire trajectory of your financial life. You can ask all of the questions that you don't know answers to. They can give you real recommendations and put your mind at ease and make it not so scary. Show them all your finances, ask them what's realistic for me to be saving and how should I be saving, and where's the smartest place for me to be putting money at this time in my life to make these goals. What should my goals be? Especially because everybody's situation is different. For example, I'm self-employed, so I have something that's called a SEP IRA. So there may be some things that you qualify for or that are better suited to your situation that you don't even know about. So those are some tips from my experience of starting to save for retirement. And again, there are tons of resources on the First Tech website to help you with any of your financial goals. First Tech is involved in programs like STEM learning for youth and giving to nonprofit organizations. And they also have a new lifestyle series on their website with some articles on things like investing in your happiness and investing in your home. So I will have a link to them down below. Thank you for watching. I hope some of you got something out of this video. I know that for me, when I was 20, some of these things I just never heard of, and it would have been really helpful to hear. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.